Thank you, Senator Durbin. I think it's, why don't we go to Senator Gillibrand?
Thank you, Chairman Benham. I really appreciate your statement that you believe it's time for comprehensive regulation. And as you know, I've taken the time to write a bill with Senator Lummis to provide that comprehensive framework. I'd like your assessment of that draft. We're doing a new draft that'll be released mid-April, but our ambition is to make sure there is a place to start a national conversation about a holistic approach to digital assets, to make sure that digital assets that have the character of securities are regulated by the SEC, to have the assets that have the indicia of commodities are regulated by the CFTC, to make sure stablecoins can be overseen by the OCC, to make sure that there are tax provisions for the entire industry, to make sure there are cybersecurity requirements for every part of the industry. So I'd like your assessment of the direction of that bill and ways that we can continue to improve upon it. You and I have met about this, but I'd like your insights for the record, because before we introduce the new version of this bill, I'd like your thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. As you point out, and I said this, I remember months ago at an event, what was most important to me in terms of the success of your bill with Senator Lummis and getting it out there is really pushing the conversation, right? Because naturally the bill will get amended and get pushed in different directions, but I thought you very carefully and thoughtfully considered all components of the market, not just something that obviously is resonates with me as a market regulator on the market side, but thinking about the stablecoin issues, thinking about settlement, thinking about custody, thinking about cybersecurity risks. So comprehensive in that nature. I think given what we experienced and what we saw with FTX, a premium on obviously segregation of assets, on customer conflicts of interest and ensuring that those conflicts are walled off very carefully. I think there are different questions that we probably have to ask in many respects with respect to digital assets in light of cybersecurity, vendor risk, third-party service providers. So I would just emphasize those are some components that might be worth looking at or taking a second look to ensure that we don't run into another situation like we did a few months ago.
Thank you. In light of Chairman Gensler's recent suggestion that all digital assets except for Bitcoin are securities, what does that mean for a number of designated contract markets currently offering futures or swaps on Ether?
Well, it would obviously raise questions about the legality of those DCMs, designated contract markets, listing these digital assets that are purported to be securities. I've made the argument that Ether is a commodity. It's been listed on CFTC exchanges for quite some time. And for that reason, it creates a very direct jurisdictional hook for us to police, obviously, the derivatives market, but also the underlying market as well.
And as a regulator, how do you respond to such a position, given that the SEC interprets the federal securities law? If there is this competition for oversight, what tools do you have to respond to that, given that you have been having oversight over Ether under the securities market?
So, Senator,
under the commodities market.
Yeah, Senator, it's an important question because the process for which an exchange or DCM, as you pointed out, will list a contract is very clear under our law. They could seek approval by the commission or they could self-certify a product. That self-certification process is one that shifts the responsibility to both the CFTC and the market participant. And I would say serious and deep legal analysis goes into the thought process before a product is self-certified. So there's no doubt in my mind, and having known this and been at the commission when Ether futures were listed, that both the exchange and the commission thought very deeply and thoughtfully about what is the product and does it fall within the regime, the commodity regime or the security regime. We would not have allowed the product, in this case the Ether futures product, to be listed on a CFTC exchange if we did not feel strongly that it was a commodity asset, because we have litigation risk, we have agency credibility risk if we do something like that without serious legal defense or defenses to sort of support our argument that that asset is a commodity.
Thank you. And with regard to Chairman Gensler's position for CFTC's 2021 settlement with Tether, the undertakings which I presume you're still monitoring. So how do you address those kinds of issues?
Again, Senator, it's, in speaking about stable coins themselves, because there's a larger question about what direction stable coins should go in terms of regulation. And as you pointed out in the bill that you co-drafted with Senator Lummis, and I agree with this, that stable coins are and should be prudentially regulated financial instruments. Notwithstanding a regulatory framework around stablecoins, they're going to be commodities, in my view. I know, colleagues might have a different opinion, but we have done the legal analysis and examining the circumstances around the Tether case. It was clear to our enforcement team and the commission that Tether stablecoin was a commodity, and we needed to move forward and swiftly to police that market and that company.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.